Good evening, and welcome to Creative Broadcasting, the station of unlimited possibilities, presents Creating Your Seat at the Table with your host, Ashley Little, as she welcomes her guest to the table.
Welcome to Creating Your Seat at the Table. I am your host, Ashley Little. A little bit about myself: corporate professional by day, entrepreneur by night, four-time best-selling author, CEO and founder of Ashley Little Enterprises, LLC, owner and creator of Creative Broadcasting, and co-founder and owner of Talk Radio and TV Network, LLP. Tonight I have an amazing special VIP guest, Dr. Jerrica Dodd. A little bit about her. Dr. Jerrica is a pharmacist, entrepreneur, and leader. Dr. Dodd holds a Doctor of Pharmacy degree from Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, a Master of Science in Pharmacy Administration from The Ohio State University, and a Master of Science with a focus in Applied Formal Economics from the University of Florida. She completed an ASHP accredited residency at the Wexner Medical Center at The Ohio State University. Dr. Dodd has been a pharmacist for 20 years and recently transitioned into full-time entrepreneurship after a 17-year career in the pharmaceutical industry in various roles in medical affairs and regulatory affairs. Prior to her time in the pharma industry, she managed a hospital pharmacy and has experience in retail pharmacy. Her recent educational pursuits have been completion of a nutrition health coaching certificate from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. Currently, she is enrolled in the Institute of Functional Medicine and aiming to introduce a functional medicine perspective to the pharmaceutical management of member patients of Your Pharmacy Advocate, LLC. Throughout her years in the pharma industry in several community venues, Dr. Dodd has experience speaking to diverse audience, including physicians and other healthcare providers. She served for 15 years as a medical science liaison, a director between pharma companies and healthcare practitioners, discussing clinical and medical data, as well as coordinating involvement in sponsor and investigative initiated trials. She has served as the summer commencement speaker for the Atlanta campus of Sanford Brown College in 2012 and 2013. Dr. Dodd is an ordained licensed minister and served for 6 years in the Global Leadership Christian Center in various roles on the ministry leadership team. Dr. Jerrica is the managing member of JD3 Enterprises, LLC, and Jerrica Speaks, LLC, and her most recent startup is Your Pharmacy Advocate, LLC. YPA is this to close the gap on medication risk, allowing prescribers and patients to manage health better. YPA allows pharmacists to be partners in safe medication use, and Dr. Dodd often says, everyone needs a pharmacist in their life at some time or another. Dr. Dodd enjoys traveling, reading, teaching Zumba, cooking, and attending cultural events. With her background in pharmacy, leadership training, and her passion for people, Dr. Jerrica enjoys encouraging people to be their best and to get the most out of every opportunity that life presents. One of her favorite scriptures is Luke 12:48, to whom much is given, much is required. And Dr. Jerrica endeavors to live her life giving back from the abundant ways in which she has been blessed. Welcome to the table, the amazing Dr. Jerrica Dodd.
Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate that.
You are welcome. So please tell us, because you have such an amazing bio, as we all know. So please tell us more about your entrepreneur journey.
Wow. So my entrepreneurial days actually began probably back around in like 2006. I knew that I wanted to do something besides my regular 9-to-5 job in the pharma industry. So actually I started out as a Mary Kay consultant, and I also had a franchise or a license of a women's networking group. So that was my very first entree into the world of entrepreneurship. But most recently in 2015, I formed JD3 Enterprises, as you mentioned, and then I went on to form Jerrica Speaks, as well as Your Pharmacy Advocate most recently. And Your Pharmacy Advocate was born out of my personal experience in being an advocate for my father, who has stage 4 lymphoma, my mother, who had triple bypass heart surgery and ended up with what seemingly was a dementia after her surgery. And then I had brain surgery 5 months after my mother's surgery, and all of that happened about 3 to 3.5 years ago. So having that experience, being an advocate for both my parents with their health, and then an advocate during my own time of brain surgery, led me to develop and build Your Pharmacy Advocate, because I wanted to build something that would be a stopgap measure, if you will, to fill in that advocate space for patients.
Wow, you have such an amazing story, and I just want to thank you for creating that space and giving back, because, you never know what people are going through. And I mean, you had, been in the pharmacy industry for 20 years, and then you decided to go out full time, correct?
Right. Last year, because my health started to cause problems for me again, so I definitely made it through the brain surgery and it healed from all of that. But because I got better from that surgery, or those surgeries, I actually had 2, got better from those surgeries, but then I went right back into making everything else a priority in my life. And so if you can imagine, my health became an issue again. I didn't have to have, more surgery, but I started having more health challenges. And that was when I realized that I was not putting me or my health as a priority in my life. I was really busy making everybody else happy and taking care of everyone else's needs, including those needs of my parents. And so I was falling between the cracks there, and that was starting to frighten me. So that was when I made the decision that I needed to prioritize myself and I needed to prioritize my health, and that I was not going to be able to do that working for someone else. And so at the end of the summer in 2018, I decided to go full-time into entrepreneurship. It was a little frightening of a thought, but I knew that I had to do something different if I wanted different outcomes with my health.
And look at all the amazing things that you're doing now. So, even though you came out of the industry because of your health and everything, but it all worked out for your good, because you're doing amazing. You created an enterprise.
Thank you. And when you're creating something, or when you're making a decision to step out and do something different from what you've always done, it's very frightening. But this has been probably, I would say, one of the most exciting times in my life, because I just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And it's amazing the people that I've met, including yourself, that I probably wouldn't have met if I'd never left my job. Some of the people that were instrumental in you and I getting connected, I wouldn't have met them either. And so it's just been an amazing journey.
Yes, and I just want to just commend you again, the embracing the pain and how strong you are, and just all the great things, as I said, that you're doing through all the things that you've been through. And that's why I tell people, you never know somebody's story, right? But it's always the pain before the reward. So, hey.
Right. Usually what we're going through at the time we're going through it, we don't understand why, but it's generally going to not only help us, it's going to serve other people.
And then you went on and created 3 different businesses out of that, so that's amazing. So tell us more about Your Pharmacy Advocate, LLC. Tell us more about the business and how we can support and get involved and all of that.
Sure. So as you read, I do believe that every patient needs a pharmacist at some point in time. But what I try to explain is that the service that I have built is a personalized pharmacy consulting service. So most people think of a pharmacist as counting pills in the drugstore and filling prescriptions. We do not dispense any medication, but we dispense education and knowledge. So what we do is we help patients understand how to correctly use their medication. We help patients prepare for their doctor visits to know what questions they need to ask. We can review lab values for them. We monitor their medication therapy for adverse events. We look for nutrient depletion. We make sure that patients are using their medicine correctly. We also help identify areas where a patient may not need a particular medication anymore. Sometimes patients get put on prescriptions and they're just on them for long periods of time, and they just keep getting refill after refill. But we look to help keep an eye on, do you even need that medication anymore? Is there some other alternative that would be better? Are you experiencing adverse events or side effects that can be avoided? And so those are the type of things we look at when we're working with patients. And when I'm describing my business, I say it's a virtual service where every patient can have their own personal pharmacist. So when you go to the pharmacy to pick up a prescription, that's not your personal pharmacist. They do have an idea of the medications and the conditions that you have, but they don't have the time to really dig into your health and your health history and help you answer some of the questions that you may not have until 10 o'clock at night when you get home and sit down and actually look at this prescription. So our service assigns a personal pharmacist to help you navigate, understand, communicate on your behalf with your doctors, or help you understand how to communicate with your doctors, as well as getting off medication, helping you figure that out so that patients can have their happiest, healthiest condition, if you will, or state of being, so that they can live their best life.
I love that, because that's so important and needed, because you're right. The ones that you meet, the pharmacists that you meet at the Walgreens or different places, they're not your actual personal pharmacists. So, and especially as, depending on the person, the patient, we do need that one-on-one attention, right? So thank you for creating that space to be able to do that, to have, be able to have your own personal pharmacist, because that's pretty awesome. So please share with us some of the different medication risks that affect patients and how we can prevent it, because I know that's a big problem, too, with people, misusing medication, those different risks. So can you talk more about that?
So it's very important for patients to, one, have an understanding of what they're taking and why. And as I mentioned, sometimes patients are given prescriptions by different physicians. And so one physician may prescribe a medication, another physician may prescribe another medication, and then they don't necessarily realize that the patient is on the other medication. And so patients just kind of can get lost sometimes, and they're taking lots of medications. It's not odd for us to talk to patients who are on 15, 18, 20 prescriptions. And if you can imagine, that's a lot to try to keep up with. That's a lot to sort out. So we can help figure out, do you really need all of this? Which ones of these prescriptions are old and you no longer even have that issue or problem that you need it for? Like I said, we can help identify why you have diabetes, why you have high blood pressure, why you have lupus or any other autoimmune disorder. And not only do we look at the medications, but we also can give coaching on lifestyle changes that can be made that ultimately support the patient hoping to one day get off that medication. And so we look at the entire patient, and we try to assess, as I was describing, we try to assess patients getting off as much as possible and working with their physician. We don't take anyone off their medication, but working with them, because the more medications that a patient is taking, the greater likelihood that they are going to have an adverse reaction, the greater likelihood that they can, have drug interactions. We have to consider that many patients take supplements that they buy at a local, Vitamin World or GNC or stores like that, and they don't even necessarily tell their physician that they're taking those. They may take over-the-counter medication like antacid and pain relievers over-the-counter that the physician doesn't know about. So we look at all of that, trying to mitigate any risk that a patient could have. I've known people who take ibuprofen or Motrin like it's candy. Well, there's a reason why there's a prescription strength. And so, those type of things, if a patient continues to have pain and they just keep taking ibuprofen, that could potentially lead to problems with their kidneys or could lead to stomach irritation. So those are the types of things that we like to help patients with, understanding what they're doing and what contributes to better health or ill health.
And that is so needed, because you're right. Sometimes when we're taking, ibuprofen or Tylenol, and then we go to the doctor and get medications, we don't always tell the doctor or the pharmacist that. So that's so true. And, teaching them different coaching lifestyles to come off of the medication. So how has your testimonials been with your clients with transitioning from the medication to a better lifestyle to not even taking the medicine anymore?
Well, I have several clients who have had different ailments. For example, I had one client, a lady, who had been dealing with severe constipation for a long time, for years. And so she would take laxatives regularly, which is not a good thing to do, right? Because that ends up leading to what we call laxative abuse, and your GI system can't handle that. And then she was also going to the doctor, who gave her a prescription for a medication for this chronic constipation. Well, that prescription was very expensive, a copay of a couple $100 a month. And then she also had now a new side effect from this medicine, which was bleeding. So we started with constipation. We've got this new medicine that's expensive, and it causes bleeding. So now we have a new problem. And so when she came to me to work with her, I gave her, because one, she was like, I can't keep taking this medicine because it costs too much and it's causing bleeding. So we worked with her to, one, stop the laxative use, and two, looked at more natural ways that she could work on her gastrointestinal system. So we looked at her diet. We also looked at exercise. We looked at water intake. We looked at some over-the-counter things that she could do if she was experiencing constipation. And then we also looked at supplements that would be helpful for her. And once we were able to get her off of the laxatives, and she decided she was no longer using her prescription, she's doing fine now. And so what seemed to be a very expensive problem, because she had this prescription, is now a very simple problem that she's not even spending a fraction of that amount to take care of, and she's doing well.
Wow, what a testimony. That's a testimony. So great. See, Dr. Jerrica, you're doing some great things. This is needed. This is needed, because people, you just never know all this medication that people take, and like you said, some of it can be old, and we're just making our bodies worse.
Right. I've had a couple of diabetic patients to speak of most recently who have listened to what I've said that they should do with regard to their diet, and they've been very, very diligent. One patient was just, very focused. The other patient's wife was very involved in his in working with him as well. She listened to all of the suggestions that I made on what to do diet-wise, because we started with the diet, because if I could get them to alter their diet, when we get to the point of suggesting to come off the medications, it's a lot simpler because they've already formed new habits with regard to their diet. And both of those patients have lost considerable amount of weight. One patient lost about 15 pounds, and the other patient actually lost 30 pounds, and has been following, what I said to do to a T. And their physicians are saying, okay, we can come off medication now because you no longer need it. And one of those patients even admitted to me that he had been diabetic for 12 years, and he said no one had ever told him that he could reverse it. He just thought that his lot in life was that he was going to be diabetic, and that was just going to be how it was from now on. He had no idea that it could be reversed.
See, that's powerful. That's powerful because a lot of people accept their, illness and they just live with it. But you're creating ways and coaching people and giving them other ways to reverse it. That's amazing, Dr. Jerrica.
Right.
Amazing.
I teach them how to monitor their blood pressure, how to keep record of their blood pressure and their blood sugar, so that when you are ready to go to the doctor and talk about reducing or decreasing medication, then you've got data. We teach how to monitor your blood sugar and blood pressure and when to do it, such that you are not just walking into the doctor's office saying, I want to get off the medicine. You're saying, look, doctor, here are my readings, here's the data, and they support I'm making some lifestyle changes. So we even explain to people how to best take their blood pressure so that they can get the right reading. So these are things that we do in addition to actually monitoring the drug therapy and educating around that.
Now, is your company just based out of Atlanta, or do you take patients all over?
We can take care of patients in any state in the United States. So, yes, I am based out of Atlanta, but it's a virtual company, so we can take care of patients no matter where they are. We have an app that they would load on their phone, and they're able to have a virtual consultation with their pharmacist, and they're able to communicate and send messages to their pharmacist, ask questions when it's not an actual time for them to have an appointment. And so that's one of the things that I'm very proud of, is that we can meet patients where they are, and they don't necessarily have to try to think of all the questions at one time because they have this ongoing support with their pharmacist.
I love that. Will you tell listeners how they can download your app and how they can go to your website, or however they can get in touch with you to get your services if they need this service? Because this is something that is needed.
Sure. So we talk with patients, and we enter into an agreement with them first to take care of their health before we download the app. That comes as part of it. But to get in touch with us, we have our website, which is yourpharmacyadvocate.com. Again, that's yourpharmacyadvocate.com. We also have an 800 number. It's 1-855-SAFE-MED. And that number is 1-855-723-3633. So patients can either go to the website and they can send a request, to contact us, or they can dial that 800 number, and someone will be available between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. live to answer the call and take their information. Or if it's outside of those hours, they're able to leave a message, and someone will return their call within a business day. So that's the best way to reach us. We do have social media as well, so we're on Facebook as well as Instagram as Your Pharmacy Advocate.
So please reach out to her, because she's doing some amazing things, and this is something that's needed for the listeners who are looking for a pharmacist, a virtual pharmacist, or know somebody that needs this service, because it is changing lives. So Dr. Jerrica, thank you for doing and creating this space. Thank you.
Yes, sure.
So what is your goal over the next year to continue to close the gap on the medication risk? What are some other programs that you're thinking about implementing that you can discuss? Or if you can't discuss it, could you tell us something that do you have anything that you're planning on doing in the next year or so to continue to close the gap?
Sure. So one of the things that your pharmacy advocate will begin to do is we will begin to be more visible in the community. And I understood that when I built this service, that not everyone would be able to be a patient of your pharmacy advocate. And so one of the things that I'm very passionate about, especially for seniors and those who have low incomes, is being able to serve them and make sure that they too can have an advocate. And so we will be doing more in the community and partnering with like-minded nonprofit groups, searching for the word there. We'll be partnering with like-minded nonprofits to basically provide our services on site for what pharmacists call brown bag services, where a patient can come and bring all of their medication bottles, and there will be a pharmacist to review their medication, like a one-time review, if you will, because like I said, I do understand that there will be some populations that we may not reach with our normal services, so we will be doing more in the community. And then we will also be targeting more specific health groups. So one of the things that I'm very passionate about is patients who use prescriptions for their mental health, be it anxiety, depression, ADHD, anything like that where they're taking prescription drugs. Those are patients that I'm very passionate about as well, and I want to develop more of a targeted reach to those communities that have patients on mental health prescriptions, because I think that there's more that we can do to support those patients too.
Yes, and that's just such an area that definitely just needs more attention in general. So thank you for, getting involved and creating that space to help, those patients that are taking those different types of drugs. So Dr. Jerrica, will you please share with us some of the current issues and trends in the field of pharmacy that we should be aware of?
So the field of pharmacy right now is experiencing an amazing, what I call disruption. And what's happening is we have had Amazon come onto the scene in the world of pharmacy. If you think about what they've done in the area of books and reading materials, and then what they've also done with regard to music, and even in the grocery industry. Well, Amazon has gotten into the pharmacy industry, and so that is really starting to impact the way that pharmacy is being practiced. And so the dispensing function that you usually see in the chain drugstores is going to, I think, look different in the years to come. And so it's giving pharmacists an opportunity to take the clinical skills that they gained in pharmacy school and throughout their experience and use them in a different way. And so oftentimes we find that pharmacists are being more creative in how they can serve patients, because that dispensing piece is going to change, I feel, very much in the near future. So pharmacists are starting consulting practices. They're starting to branch out and look for other ways to serve as pharmacists and yet still be connected with patients.
That's awesome. That's a great awesome trend and great, amazing, like you said, disruption. That's great. That's great, great. So, Dr. Jerrica, you are a contributing author for the book I Survived. So please tell us more about your book and how we can support and purchase.
So the I Survived book was the one of the greatest experiences that I've had this year, because it was my first time being an author. So that has always been something that was on my goals list. But I was, as I mentioned over the weekend when asked about it, it was always something that I said, I'll get around to it. I'll get around to it one day. And so that one day came this year, and I was so grateful to be a part of the I Survived book compilation and collaboration with Jessica Mosley and my fellow authors. And it was just a wonderful experience to tell a part of my story. And it helped me to understand, one, that everyone does have a story, and then two, there are so many people that can benefit from hearing your story. Sometimes we think it's just for us and nobody's really interested, but you'll find that when you tell your story, there are people that can relate, whether they had those exact same circumstances or not. They still are able to relate, and it helps them understand that they too can tell their story. So that was the experience of the I Survived book collaboration. I got to meet 23 other amazing women, such as yourself, and that was too also a great blessing, because I'm sure you would agree that when we all got there, it was like we had known each other for years, and we had all come together around that one purpose. And so I said over the weekend that was really that was the best way I could describe it, that it was a magical event. And Jessica had amazing insight to pull that together. And so I'm very grateful to have been a part. And if anyone is interested in the book, I still have copies for sale. It's $21 plus $4 for the shipping of the book. And so that same website or 800 number, if anyone's interested in that book, they can call or send a message through the website, and I can definitely get their payment information, get their mailing address, and get a book out to them.
Yes, I must say it was an amazing experience, Dr. Jerrica, and Dr. Jerrica has an amazing story, so please get the book. Get the book. Yes, I we still are meeting in different places, and, as this group of authors, so it has really, it's a family. It's a family.
Right. Yes. And my chapter, I neglected to say that, my chapter in the book was, I Want to See Your Glory. God, I want to
Yes.
see your glory. And so that's what I saw out of the experience that I recalled, is that going through that, all I knew to look for was God's glory.
I love it. I love it. And when I say her story is amazing, and listeners, I'm not going to tell you because you have to get the book, but her story is amazing. So please purchase the book. And Dr. Jerrica, you have just been doing some amazing things since, kicking off this year. Every month you have some great things going on. And you just was at Essence Festival speaking on different panels. So congratulations. Yes. Tell us about your experience.
So again, as part of the Ms. CEO brand, I was in New Orleans, just got back yesterday, but I was in New Orleans for the Essence Festival and had the great opportunity to be a part of the Ms. CEO Entrepreneurial Brunch that took place on the Friday of the Essence Festival. And that was a wonderful gathering of entrepreneurial women, both as speakers, as panelists, as audience members, to share a bit of our stories, if you will, with the women in the audience. And so I, as part of my shared my story, my health journey, and why it's so important, especially for women in business, to prioritize their health. Because if you don't have your health, I don't care how many other strategies and tactics and, things that you have going for your business. If you don't have your health, none of that will matter. And so that was the message that I shared about making your health a priority.
And that's important because you're right, because once, we can be doing all these amazing things, but if we don't have our health together, that can affect us in so many ways. And having our health together and our self-care, that self-care is so important too. So Dr. Jerrica, do you want to speak on that self-care part too?
Yes, the self-care part is definitely very, very important. When I speak with women and they talk about, how they are, building their self-care routine, and they say, oh, well, I get my nails done and I get my hair done. And I said, well, you know what? That to me is not enough for self-care. Like, that's routine maintenance. Those are things that you need regardless. Self-care is how you are nurturing your spirit, how you are taking time out to recharge, relax, to just give yourself a break. And so oftentimes we feel like when we stick that nail appointment or that hair appointment in our busy schedules that we are, doing self-care. And yes, those things are very important. However, that's not really allowing you to step away and recharge your batteries. And so there are many, many other things that self-care involves besides just grooming, if you will.
Yes. And like you said, the nails and all of that, that's just, routine. But we need to know how to say no and really just take moments to ourselves, like you said, and feed our spirits and make sure that we're healthy inside and out. So, yes, I agree, Dr. Jerrica. That is so on point. So I know that you pretty much have bought your own table. So I always ask my guests this question. Dr. Jerrica, how did you create your seat at the table?
Well, as I mentioned before, I initially was almost, if you will, my health forced me to leave the table at which I was sitting and to create my own table, if you will, with my seat. And so while in the beginning it was, the circumstances of my health that sent me in that direction, once I start going in that direction, I really started to dream about what it is that I want to do and what is the impact that I want to make. What are the giftings and talents and skills and abilities that God has blessed me with? And I think that every person needs an opportunity to step back and dream, because we are all gifted in different ways. There's only one Jerrica Dodd. There's only one Ashley Little. And so it's really important for us to know what our purpose is here. And I think that when you find out what your purpose is, you will have your own table. And so no one has to create that table for you. And as I mentioned before, you put one foot in front of the other. Sometimes we get tripped up when we can't see, 10 miles down the road and we say, well, I won't take the walk. But you start putting one foot in front of the other. And when you are walking in your purpose, you will see that paved road will just start to appear before you, and you just keep moving forward. So for me, I think that my health forced me to make my own table, but now I am really enjoying setting that table, if you will.
I love it. Chasing your purpose and chasing the impact. I love it. I love it. So, Dr. Jerrica, what did failure teach you on your journey?
Wow. So failure is it's one of those things that many people have a fear of. Oh, my gosh, what if I fail? And I think that it's okay to fail, because I think we learn more in our failures than maybe we learn in our successes. And so I think once we get past caring what other people think, I have gone on record saying to people, if I fail, then I, number one, give myself credit because I had the courage to step out and try, and I never would have known if I hadn't tried. However, if I failed, I'm not really worried about what people think, which is, I think, what holds people back a lot. Oh, my gosh, what if the world knows that I failed? Well, if I failed, I will definitely be busy mining that experience for the gold nuggets and lessons that I can learn from it, so that I can get up and do it again.
And it's always the lesson, right? It's never a failure. It's a lesson to get us to that next level. So we know that, failure is not failure. It's a lesson. So what did your success teach you? Because you were very successful.
Success teaches me that whatever it was that I was afraid of wasn't even really worth it in the first place. Sometimes, as I mentioned, we're limited by all of these fears, things that sometimes never even happen, things that if they do happen, they're not as bad as we think that they are. And so success is one of those things that when you look around and you see your impact, when you see your reach, when you see the lives that you're able to bless, you learn that that's what I was supposed to be doing. If I had any doubt, I'm sure now. And so success, if you will, also gives others an opportunity to say, how can I do something like that? Because you've always heard people say success leaves clues. And so one of the good things I feel that success offers is it offers clues for other people who are watching and saying, I want to do something. How do I do it? Or, what can I learn from this experience? So I think that success, as well as we just talked about failure, I think they both have lessons and pearls and nuggets of opportunity for us to learn.
And I'm a big believer that success does leave clues, and you're right. It's about the lives that we're impacting and the lives that we're changing, right? Being able to help somebody else cross, in the words of Tyler Perry. I love it.
Right.
Yes. So what can we expect from the amazing Dr. Jerrica Dodd the rest of 2019? We're in the third quarter. So what can we expect from you? Because you're doing some amazing things.
Well, one of the things that I have started doing is I conduct a dinner program that I designed for women who are pharmacists and who want to make a change in their career, either staying within pharmacy or doing something totally different. So I have been going to different cities and having dinner programs for pharmacists to talk about what's next for them. I share my story. I talk about how I made the leap from being an employee to being an entrepreneur. And then I turn the focus to the audience to say, now what is it that you dream of, and how can we go about putting a plan and a strategy to that dream so that you can definitely live the life of your dreams as well. The other thing that has come up in 2019 that I'm very excited about is out of the numbers of pharmacists that I speak with on a weekly basis, I have begun coaching pharmacists. And ultimately, I would say, have the capability of coaching someone who's in a healthcare field but wants to make a transition. And oftentimes they don't know where to start, or they feel stuck because of not having the support they need, not having the finances that they feel they need, whatever limitation that they feel that they're facing and they can't move forward. I've begun to coach some amazing women who say, yes, this is the field I'm in, but I want to make a change. And they are blown away by the dreams that they've had tucked away for a long time, but they've decided, I want to go after that dream. And so I've been helping by coaching them to put one foot in front of the other and start putting some steps into place so that they can definitely get to the career or have the impact that they've been dreaming of having.
That is awesome. And how can listeners that are maybe in the pharmacy field reach out to you and inquire more about your coaching program for the pharmacists?
Sure. They can go to that same website, yourpharmacyadvocate.com, or that same 800 number, 855-723-3633 or 855-SAFE-MED, MED, and they can leave a message, and that's the same way to reach me as well regarding coaching services.
See, Dr. Jerrica is doing some amazing things, and I know she's probably not announcing everything, but I just want to say I just can't wait to see all the great things that God is going to continue to do in your life, Dr. Jerrica. You are definitely an inspiration, okay? You're doing some amazing things. You are welcome.
Thank you.
So please tell our listeners how they can follow you on all social media platforms.
Sure. So we are on Facebook. We have a Facebook business page. It's Your Pharmacy Advocate. If anyone is interested in being part of a community group where we talk about things with regard to health, the community group sponsored by Your Pharmacy Advocate is called Empowered Health CEOs, because I am on a mission to help people become the CEO of their health. So the group, again, on Facebook is Empowered Health CEOs. The Facebook business page, Your Pharmacy Advocate. Instagram, Your Pharmacy Advocate. We also have a LinkedIn page, Your Pharmacy Advocate. And then I have personal Facebook, Instagram, as well as LinkedIn pages as well.
So please follow Dr. Jerrica Dodd and definitely support her in all of her amazing endeavors. She is definitely someone that you want to be connected with. So thank you, Dr. Jerrica, for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to come to the table, and I cannot wait to invite you back.
Oh, well, thank you, Ashley. It was my pleasure, and I will be back anytime you extend an invitation. So I really do appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Jerrica, and I look forward to continuing to collaborate with you, and I'm so excited and happy to call you a friend. Thank you.
Yes, me too. Thank you.
So I would like to give a special thanks to Tammy Collins-Marquis and John Schamberger. I would also like to give a special thanks to author Kimberly McLemore and one of my interns, Sarah, from Tennessee State University. And you all may follow me on Facebook at Ashley Little and on Instagram at _Ashley A. Little. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Creating Your Seat at the Table, where Ashley speaks with corporate professionals, celebrities, entrepreneurs, authors, and speakers who are transitioning or have transitioned to entrepreneurship.